What's up guys, welcome to another video. Today we're out in Portland, Oregon. I'm at the Portland studio. We're gonna be shooting two different models here, just changing out backgrounds. We got this like maroon background, white background, and there's plywood. We got some greenery behind Mason, who's actually videoing me right now. I'm just gonna kind of show you guys my process of shooting a natural light indoor studio shoot, and hopefully you guys enjoy the video.
Alright guys, so we're gonna go with a little voiceover because it was really echoey in that room. Anyway, right now, what you're seeing right now is just a bunch of warm-up shots, getting Akasha, who's our first model, just kind of getting her warmed up, doing some pretty easy poses. And usually, typically in the very beginning of photo shoots, I like to do a lot of warm-up stuff, mainly just to get the models going and get them into a rhythm. In this particular case, we have Akasha and Alyssa, and so I'm doing the same thing with both of them, just getting them warmed up. And we're going to start off with Akasha. With Akasha, we're going to start with her nice maroon and blue against the plywood backdrop. I think this is my favorite color combo that she had. We're using this really retro like orange chair, and I'm pretty much just having her face towards the light of the studio. And then what I'm going to do is start telling her to do micro movements. Now the best part about her is that she is a signed model, and that typically means that I don't have to do a lot of talking with her. I can kind of just start shooting and she kind of knows what to do, and if I see something I can tell her to move in specific directions or build off of that. So right now we're just going through very small movements, and you're going to start noticing the same poses throughout each of these because I have a very specific kind of look I'm going for. In this particular case, I'm showing her some of the photos so she knows exactly what I'm looking at through my lens, and also giving her some just having fun, but also giving her some things that I'm looking for. So particularly hair, facial expressions, light hands, light fingers, things like that. And I think that's really key when you're talking to your model about what kind of photos to do. You're expressing that kind of thing through them. So make sure that you're also telling them exactly what you're looking for and what you're looking at. In this particular case, I love her look onto hair onto one side, and I do take a lot of different shots throughout this entire time, mainly because I want to just keep making sure that I'm capturing every moment that I can. So now we're going to have her actually face towards this white board here, and I like this because it reflects light back onto her without having it be too harsh, and it doesn't actually suck in the light. So we've done this specifically to have light bounce, especially when we're using the small little corner of the studio. I can get lighting pretty much everywhere in the studio, so that's super nice. So right now, just trying a few more looks that I thought would like. I'll throw a couple of photos up there for you guys so you guys can see. But yeah, just running it through. She knows exactly what she's doing. I don't have to give her a lot of direction, and I almost didn't talk very much unless we were just making small talk throughout this entire shoot. So that was a lot of fun for her. But overall, the photos from this particular outfit, this backdrop, turned out really well. Alright, moving on to Alyssa. So Alyssa is somebody, again, that I have not shot before, and so I'm just getting her placed up for her first set of shots. I like this outfit the most. It resembles a lot of what Akasha was wearing, but at the same time it wasn't the exact same thing. And so she has a very different look, a very distinct look, so I'm trying to play to what she has on her Instagram, that way that at least I have something to build off of later on, because typically if she's posting these photos, that means that she probably ends up liking these. Most people don't post photos they don't like. So in this particular case, I'm doing the same thing with her, except for she's not a signed model, so I do have to tell her to move a little bit more than Akasha. Not a bad thing, nothing that I'm not, I guess, experienced in. And so with this particular case, I'm having her fix her hair. I'm trying to get angles. The thing that we don't show you in photo shoots really is making sure that we know the side that best shows off the model in the best way possible. And so in this particular case, I've seen some of her photos where she did have her hair across her eye on one side, and so I like to do that a lot. If you've seen any of my photos, I really do like this look. So I tried it with her. I do end up liking it. I have a couple photos that I can show you guys of this particular shot. But for the most part, this was really just a time for both of us to really just have some fun, smile, get her a little bit more relaxed. That way that the photos can come out a lot better, because as you guys shoot more and more and more, photos tend to be better a lot quicker. So you want to be able to build that relationship, build that establishment, and that flow as early as possible. And so with her, she's doing her own movements, but I'm also telling her what I'm looking for as well. Running her through both movements and poses. It's good to do both. The only thing I don't like doing is I don't like doing the whole think of a time when you were mad or sad or a time that was funny, because I don't think I'm going to get the right look out of the photos that I want to capture personally. and so I try to stay away from that. In this particular case, you can already tell I'm telling her to try a couple new things, like sticking her hair inside of her sweater and having a small space between where her hair is and then where her face is. That way it gives this kind of nice cozy look to it, or cozier look for it. And I'm just kind of noticing different things. One thing that I'm not showing, or I'm not telling you here, is that I'm actually telling her where my frame is and where to keep her hands above. So where my frame cuts off, they know that their hands need to be above that frame. That way it doesn't look too awkward. So make sure you do that with your models at all times. Okay, so for her Akasha, we have our second outfit out. Right now we're just shooting on this back end of the same corner, just on the other side of the studio. And I'm using this mirror and a couple of greens that are around her to add some context and just a little bit more color to the color palette as I can. Trying my best to try and make photos look pretty interesting and not too distracting. It's really, really hard when you're doing photos with a mirror because you could get a wrong angle pretty quickly, and that's something we want to stay away from. And so once again, Akasha, this is the difference between a signed model and somebody who is still not necessarily is not bad at modeling, but just learning the ropes on how to move and how to move without saying anything. Akasha is somebody that I can pretty much from now on I could shoot and she would know exactly the feel I'm going for, because my look never really changes no matter what we're doing, whether it be an indoor studio shoot or out in the national forest or a city. It's all going to be roughly the same thing. The only time it would change is if I had actually told her that this is not the look I'm going for anymore. But in this particular case, just telling her I have an idea for a couple different positions. Let's start moving things around, and and then we'll go from there. I popped into Logan. Logan is Alyssa's boyfriend, and so he was there shooting her while I was shooting Akasha. That way that Alyssa's not just standing around waiting. So that was kind of funny. And once again, talking to her about what I'm looking for in her hair and where to put her face, especially where the light's coming from, and also where to lift her hair. And in this particular case, thanks to Charlie, shooting with Charlie a lot, I'm very detail oriented when it comes to hair now, and eyes and hand placement, things like that. So I of course ask permission before touching your model, like, hey, can I adjust your hair? Can I adjust your clothing? Whatever the case may be, make sure you're always asking permission. With this right now, I'm really just talking to her about what I'm looking for. We're changing things up a little bit, getting some close shots, about mid-range to headshots almost, and then also doing some medium full body shots with these ones. And it's good to just have those conversations with your models or subjects about what you're doing, what you're trying to do, what you're looking for, and that way there's no miscommunication and no missed expectations. In this particular case, I'm just telling her what I'm looking at and what things we need to change to make this photo, this particular photo right now, look the best that it can. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. As far as me right now, just still shooting, just trying my best to get different angles, close, far, anything like that, just trying to change it up that way that it doesn't look the exact same every time. But a lot of my photos did end up coming back the same, just in different outfits, which is not a bad thing necessarily, because I only came out with a set number of looks that I really wanted to capture, and I was open to any outfit that would allow me to capture those ones. So right now, I know you guys can't hear anything, but for the most part, we're just having conversations, talking a little bit, just talking about what she does for fun and anything like that, but also talking to her at the same time, still keeping it business related, and really talking to her about poses that we can do. Maybe I have a couple ideas that might look good, especially with her look, and so we're just trying that right now. I'm just getting a couple photos. And this is pretty much how my conversations go with all my models, back and forth, the same thing. Yeah, it's a lot of fun shooting with these two, and the space is super gorgeous, as you've already seen in the B-roll and stuff like that. It's definitely one of the more fun places to shoot, in my personal opinion. In this particular case, we're trying some laying down on the floor. This is a great way to change things up, especially in a studio where, we always think about maybe just the stool, sitting on the stool, or just standing up, but really laying down in front of different different backdrops and things like that can add a little bit of variety. In this particular case, I'm using the chair more like if it was like a table, a small like coffee table or something like that, where I can have her just post up on it, and it looks pretty good in all honesty. So now we're trying some ones where I'm having her arms out. This is a great way to bring some foreground into the photos without having to use plants, because we've already got plants in the background, and I wouldn't want to keep using the plants for everything. I want to kind of be able to mix it up a little bit, so this is a great way for us to do that. And so I try things, especially with my 35. I'm not shooting 85. I don't like 85 for portraits. I really prefer the 35 for this kind of thing. It's going to give the correct look, it's going to give that right feel, and it makes you feel like you're more there than if you are with an 85. With an 85, you definitely feel detached from the photo, and I know it's been known as like a good portrait lens, but I personally don't like it as a portrait lens. I like it as a video lens. So my 35 1.4 is my favorite lens for photos, and if I ever get stuck in a pinch, then I'm going to use this one. In this particular case, we're just making some small talk again, just laughing it up. You know, I talk about situations of why I shoot specific things, and she just talked about, you know, things that she enjoys shooting and things like that, and we're just talking, you know, just having good conversations. I think it's really good to not be so serious all the time. I mean, we're on a 2-hour crunch, so I'm shooting super fast, but just having fun, being able to just make sure that everybody's having a good time, and that's all that really matters realistically in this particular point of view. It's the best thing to do. Alright, so the next one I have Alyssa and Akasha, and I don't do a lot of dual stuff, couples or anything like that with more than one model. It's pretty rare for me to do that, but I I had an idea to use both of them. I think it's good to, you know, to try things, right? We're all in the business of trying to create the best images we can. In this particular case, I'm just working to use the studio to my advantage, and also my models too, because I have 2 of them, and I'm very blessed to have those 2. And so the idea around it is to really just try and try new things. So having them get prepped up, I have a particular kind of pose that I want to try out. And I remember just kind of talking them through, okay, here's what I'm going to be doing, here's what I want you to do, here's what I need you to do. And I don't need them to move necessarily that much for this one, because when they do move together, if you have 2 models that you're going to be using, make sure that they are moving together as one. If they're not doing that, the movements can look disjointed, and then the photo becomes disjointed. So you really want them to pose together. So make sure if you're going to do stuff where they're posing and moving on their own, that they've done this before the models, and kind of talk through the looks that you're looking for. That way it's not going to be as much of a surprise, I would say, for the models themselves. So right now I'm just kind of getting them closer in plane wise. This is actually a really smart thing to do. If you have control over where they stand or how they're standing, try and get them on the same plane. That way that if you shoot at f2.8 or f3, you can get them both in focus. Because remember, we're talking about a focal plane of f2.8 or f3.5, and you want to be able to capture all of that. And so in this particular case, I'm scooting back and picking my aperture. But then I remember Logan, Alyssa's boyfriend, was here, and I'm like, hey, I have a really weird idea. Can I borrow you? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I pulled him over here, and I said, okay, can I touch you? Can I borrow your hair? So I had him move, and then I started shooting around him, and then I started pulling his hair up and shooting through his hair, and it came out to shoot this like really interesting photo that I had in mind. And I'm sure you can create this in post, that you don't really need to use somebody's hair for this, but I really enjoyed. But the models were like, they were having a hoot about it. They were just like, I'm really interested to see what this is going to look like, because I've never seen this before. And it actually turned out pretty cool. I don't think you need to go through this much trouble, but it was a lot of fun. So Logan, if you're watching this, I appreciate you letting me use your hair, man. Your Goldilocks, they're amazing. Yeah, this was a fun idea, and I was just trying anything at this point to get some interesting photos. And it ended up, the gamble ended up working. So I think it was well worth the ask there. Alright, so the next one is with Akasha. We're using the dark blue dress with the plywood background. I really like this look. I love the color palette. It looks super good, and I had to get a couple photos with it, and I just love the color palette that shows up on these. Once again, using the greens as foreground and as background, just to add some accents. You know me, I love my greens, and you can see they're coming through in these photos too. They're exactly what I was hoping they would be, and it's good too, like, to try things like this. And this isn't really, I mean, this is stuff that people would think of all on their own, but once again, with Akasha, you don't have to try a whole hard to get her to pose the way I want to. She knows what she's doing. I don't really need to give her much direction, which is perfect. I don't want to be that kind of person. I really want her to be able to do her own movements and things like that without me having to tell her what to do. Once again, doing the dual thing, it's not something that I do all that often. I do want to improve on this, so I was trying it because I've already gotten the photos that I know for sure that I wanted, and now I'm having them post together. And the last one here with Alyssa against the pale background. Again, I wanted to try her dark green shirt with some jean shorts, and they worked out really well. So in any case, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys like the style of video, I would be more than happy to do more of these. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.